Hi everybody, welcome to the agriculture online event to promote our course. It's nice having you on board. My name is John Flannigan. I'm the Senior Lecturer in Agriculture at the Barony campus. I've been working at Barony for the past 4 years. Prior to that, I was actually a lecturer and an agricultural consultant, lecturer up at the Riverside campus and consultant in Dumfries. And I have many farming experiences in France, in Scotland, and obviously with an accent like mine in Ireland. So I look forward to kind of talking about my specialities, which would be grassland production and livestock production, probably with a bit of an emphasis on welfare and dairying. So I'll pass over to my other colleague who's on the call here, who is Gemma Higgins.
Hi, yeah, I'm Gemma Higgins. Prior to working at Barony, I was a cereal crop trial officer where we did various different crop trials. We also did crop trials on potatoes. That's just led my sort of area of expertise as such to be crop and soils based. So it's mainly those sorts of subjects which you would get me on. Before that, I got a degree through SRUC actually. It was in agricultural bioscience, so slightly different to this course, but there was definitely areas that overlapped, so there was some similarities throughout. I've now been here for 3 years and thoroughly enjoy it, and I hope you consider us to come and join the course. And pass you on to our other colleague who's with us, Andrew Marshall.
Hi there, I'm Andrew Marshall. I was brought up on a kind of family farm, sheep and beef unit. So brought up lamb and sheep, driving tractors, and calving the odd cow. I went to Newcastle University some years ago, and when I left uni, I basically came home to the family farm and got involved in quite a lot of contracting work with a big contractor who was my neighbour. Because the farm wasn't really big enough to support being there full time. So I've got a lot of experience on doing most things with a tractor and what's it, combine harvesting, forage harvester. So, you know, that's my thing. I suppose at Barney is I do quite a lot of the machinery stuff, but I've also got quite a lot of interest in the crop production side of things. I did a lot of harvesting work when I was a student, so got quite exposed to lots of combine harvesting and cultivations and drilling. So I quite like the machinery side of things. And since my time at Barney, I've kind of got into some of the agronomy stuff and the fertilizer side of things as well. And I also deliver quite a lot of spraying courses at the college as well. So that's just a little bit of a background about myself. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew. I meant to say I'm joining from sunny Thornhill. That's why I have a background in Drumland, Newcastle. This isn't my house, obviously. Wish it was. So just a little bit about SRUC. So SRUC is one of 6 campuses, Barony campus is one of 6 SRUC campuses across the whole of Scotland: Aberdeen, Elmwood, Edinburgh, Oatridge, Ayr and Barony. Things have consolidated at Barony campus from Ayr on the agricultural side of things recently, well, in the last couple of years anyway, which means that we offer agricultural courses all the way up from modern apprenticeship all the way up to degree level, which I'll talk about later on. Other things that we have, or one of our key selling points, if you like, is that in terms of rural activities, we've kind of got that covered. You know, agricultural technology, countryside management, wildlife conservation, countryside management type thing. We tend to, if it happens in the rural area or sector, we tend to have a course or a pathway for you to get involved in that particular avenue of employment or activity. So our agricultural program because that's probably what you're here to think about. So, as I say, we're here, and there's quite a number of you here. Caroline was saying it's up to 29 potentially on the call. So I'd imagine that you all have different stepping on points and maybe even stepping off points. And that is the beauty of what we do at SRUC. So you can see there that we have courses that start at NC Agriculture. And we've had students who have come in, didn't particularly like school or didn't particularly feel academic, but knew they enjoyed agriculture, came in and actually got into what they were doing and progressed onto HNC, some even onto HND and degree. And what we have really is various exit points. Every year of your studies, there's an exit point which allows you to leave with a qualification. So the NC, obviously, if you come in at an NC, you can jump off of that qualification and jump into the HNC. Similarly, it's the criteria for jumping onto the HND, and the HND is the criteria for jumping onto the degree. So, I mean, there's plenty of flexibility in terms of the way we deliver this course, and how and when you choose to study. Similarly, then we also have apprenticeship options. So we offer apprenticeship in agriculture at levels 5 and 6. And again, the whole idea of that is to work while you earn. In terms of the delivery for that, we bring students in for 5 weeks, 5-week blocks throughout the year, and support them in their employment and all that type of thing as well, through visits and kind of a mentorship, talking with mentorship by ourselves, and also kind of promoting the mentorship of the farmer the apprentice is working for. So that is unique in that it allows also access onto NC or HNC, depending on how you're getting on. So you can see the levels there kind of almost match out. So a level 6 is equivalent to the ANC, a level 7 is an HNC in terms of SQA kind of levels. As of this year, we're actually also starting technical apprenticeships, and technical apprenticeships are quite an exciting thing as well, because oftentimes we have students who go on to get their HNC, maybe go out into a work environment and decide after a couple of years of working that they maybe want to continue their education, but maybe can't afford to leave their work. Technical apprenticeships are the option which allow you to do that. So it's quite interesting in terms of the whole suite of courses that we offer. It allows you to kind of mix and match and interact and jump through different courses to suit your own personal circumstance. So in terms of our main course areas, we tend to focus on livestock. In the south and west we would. Dairy and beef and sheep will be the main ones. We also cover crops and grassland. That picture there is from our grassland plots. Business management, obviously, business is key to is a key part of a farm. Making money and profitability, it has to come into it to pay wages and all that type of thing. So business management is a key part. Probably starts to come into it more at HND level. And then machinery, obviously how they work and why and when you use them and how to get the most out of those machinery, because machinery and their inputs are quite expensive. So we teach those main areas. So. And a key feature of what we do at Barony is the practical as well. So at NC level, VQ level, NC level and HNC level, we tend to offer opportunities for students to go out and practical. So we'll teach it in the classroom, We'll give you the theory behind it, and then we'll allow you to, where we can, apply that theory in practice out in the farm. And it suits a lot of our learners, because a lot of people don't all learn the same way. You know, some people don't exactly enjoy being cooped up in a classroom all the time, and that's the whole idea, to mix and match and appeal to different people's learning styles. And this is just a few more pictures from the practicals that we do. So sheep work, dairy work, grassland work, dosing sheep, planting crops, shearing sheep. You know, we tend to take advantage. One of the big things that we have at Barony is we have a farm and we use it, because ultimately that's what our students tend to tell us that they come here for the actual opportunity to learn in a practical environment as well as the classroom environment. We've also added some practical events, which are becoming annual events, and are really, really cool. So the first one was our student plot area, where we had our grassland competition this year, sponsored by Yara. And so we've set up this student plot area in the last couple of years, and use it for all sorts of activities, grassland, planting crops. We also have some integrated research trials and plots going on the same site. And we've also had the SRUC Barony Winter Show, which is being a huge success and fantastic for the morale and enthusiasm of all our students at Barony. Just a fantastic kind of event to basically get students collaborating, working together, and having a bit of fun and celebrating all that's good in livestock and agriculture. So we're going to just talk a little bit about our national certificate. Now Andrew is the year tutor for this, but I'll kind of introduce it and he can kind of give you his own slant on it. But it's a full-time course, Monday to Thursday, so it's a 4-day week. We tend to have one day, Monday and Wednesday in the classroom, so full day Monday, full day Wednesday in the classroom, and a full day Tuesday and Thursday on practicals, which means that you're out in the farm. It covers everything. It's one of the most comprehensive courses. It's really our flagship course in terms of students, you know, and the opportunities that they get presented with. And we cover everything from livestock, grassland, mechanization, farm maintenance, farm record keeping. And yeah, the opportunities that are presented to the students vary from at the Barony, our own farm, to also working down at the Crichton, our sister farm down in Dumfries, and also going around to various farm visits. And that's one of our farm visits where we went to our local beef and sheep farmer at Hartbush. Andrew, do you want to add in anything about the national certificate?
Yeah, just a little bit. You've covered it pretty much well, John. You know, like John says, I think it's one of our flagship courses, and it really gives you a really broad spectrum of subjects that you'll meet in agriculture. You know, it's a great introductory course that you can basically go on to farm work or come back and progress through your HNC and beyond. So, you know, it's got that great mix of, you know, a lot of practical activities as well and a bit of classroom stuff. You know, there's some assessment work obviously that we do on a kind of computer platform, lots of sort of, you know, short test quizzes and so on, and a few bits of report writing. But, you know, it's really, you know, it's a great introduction and, you know, into all the subject areas in farming. You know, we did take students up to a tillage event this year, which was a bit different, and we'll try and fit in with anything like that that's open to us on the kind of following year, if you like, whatever's happening locally and further afield. Even we trip out and take the students and hopefully expose them to something a bit different. So yeah, that's NC.
Cool, thanks Andrew. So Andrew is the year tutor for the NC. hence me asking him his opinion and a bit of input there from the NC. Year tutor, just to explain, tends to be the person or the point of contact or the main organizer for that course. We will tend to organize and deliver as a team at Barony. So you'll see quite a lot of all the team, you know, you're only seeing a small amount or a small number of us today, but actually the team is up to 8 or 9 at Barony at the moment. But yeah, we'll tend to organise that, but in terms of year tutor, the year tutor is responsible for, you know, one-to-one meetings with you guys, or kind of thinking about, you know, if you've got issues in terms of organising milking or lambing opportunities or any of those kind of things, even welfare, pastoral care, that's your year tutor role. So we tend to look after more than just your education. We also tend to have a role in things like looking after your welfare, or where you need support, or even just to be there for a chat. That's very important to what we do at Barony. It's a small family feel that we try and promote in terms of our courses. And moving on then to our HNC. Now HNC this year is a next generation, which means that it has, we're in the middle of the pilot year this year, which means that we've changed the way we deliver it. And the key design features of the next generation is to have a reduced assessment load, fewer and larger units, and we also try and focus in on skills to give you things like resilience, focus, because obviously careers and career paths are evolving all the time, and they seem to be changing at such a pace nowadays that we have to try and build that into our qualifications as we go along. We also are digital by design for this, which means that we try and incorporate new technologies, like we're talking on Teams here today. But also you can't beat face-to-face. The old-fashioned face-to-face also works very well for us at Barony, and our students are basically a mixture of digital natives, face-to-face, and practicals, hands-on type of thing. So we're covering all those areas. In terms of what it looks like, this is the course as it is at the moment. So we have the principles of crop production, the principles of livestock production, the professional practice and skills, and the optionals are specialised farming systems and diversified enterprise in a rural business. I say optional, there can be more added to that as we go along, and you can maybe choose from 3 or 4 different options, but currently, as it's just a pilot, we just have those 2, so you have to choose those this year. If you compare it to what it used to be 15 units delivered across the whole of the year. So you can see there you've got 3 big ones which are delivered across the whole of the year now. And essentially, essentially it's covering all the main things that you would expect it to cover. The main big difference is this professional practice and skills, which is focusing in on your skills development and your own personal development, and thinking about your career. I'm going to pass you to Gemma, who is the co-year tutor for the HNC, and she'll give you a bit of a run about how it's going this year.
Yeah, so as John said, we're on the pilot year this year. So far it's on the whole going very well. There is issues that we're maybe going to have, or things that we would like to change for going forward, but that's the whole part of the pilot year. Good parts have been the cut down on assessments been a big thing. I think before they used to get something like 45 small miniature tests, so there was like averaging a couple a week. However, now there are a lot fewer tests. However, still covering a wide base of knowledge. They also get a lot more practical than they used to, which is a bonus. They used to, in the past, only get half a day a week. However, now they get 1 full day a week at HNC level as well. And you need to be able to show evidence for you need to show evidence for 30 or more skills. So there's a big long list, and it's a flexible list as well to fit around maybe your background. So for example, sheepdog trials isn't on that list, but it could be potentially something that we could include if need be. So yeah, no, it's been a good first year going through. So as they're currently on 4 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, with Wednesday being the practical day as well. With this term, we've been going on a few trips on the Friday, so that's nice as well to get out and about and see other businesses. But on the whole, yep, it's a improvement on what was there in the past in terms of it was, well, the whole course was there for 20 years or something like that, so it was needing a little bit of a revamp. I'll pass you back to John.
Cool, thanks, Gemma. Gemma, just I think we just should mention also a key part of that professional practice and skills is a work placement. So you're required to do a minimum of 20 days on a rural business over the kind of course of the year, which again also, as well as the practical skills, gives you skills in action, if you like, which is quite interesting, and then the ability to think and reflect and see how that actually suits you. Okay, so the HND is also part of this revalidation process. So it's been revalidated and we're working on it at the moment, and kind of it will also be along the same lines as fewer units, bigger units, and also incorporate work placement. This is kind of how it's looking in terms of framework at the moment. As I say, we're still working our way through SQA with this, but you can see there I spoke about how the HND was very much business focused. And you can see even in the names here, you've got crop management, livestock management, the principles of agribusiness management, and then you've got your own professional development. So, you know, it's very much focused along the lines of you will have learned the technical aspects of production in the HNC. And here you will be thinking about how to manage it, how to get the most out of it, how to apply that knowledge to different situations, because every farm is different, every farmer's interest is different, and that comes up with the type of livestock you have, the type of farming you have, or even the level of investment, infrastructure, all that type of thing. So we cover that at HND level, or start to introduce that, because that's obviously a huge part of a lot of information to take in too. And as I say, we do tend to focus in on your skills development and your own level of reflection. So, you know, one of the words you probably heard at school or at the moment is meta skills, and yeah, there's the integration of meta skills in there, things like self-management, you know, empathy and things like this as well, and it's how you can evolve as a person or a professional person to meet the demands of future careers. So we tend to try and give you the reflect on that, opportunities to develop in those areas, and opportunities to kind of evolve into the kind of, or realization of the kind of career you want to be involved in, and how you achieve that, how you want to portray yourself in a professional workplace. So that's our HND, very much HNC and HND is a work in progress. And then in terms of degree, again, this is being revalidated to kind of match in with the HNC, HND revalidation, but it won't happen for a couple of years. But what you're looking at now will, if you get to degree level, will actually not be quite the same subjects, if you like. So you know, it's an evolving feast, and I suppose, to be honest, it has to be that way, because nothing stays still and you need to kind of keep that development going. So again, if I was to summarize very quickly, third year is about, we have that technical knowledge, you've developed the management skills, and then this is looking at more in depth the science behind the hows and the wheres and the whats of what you do in a farm. So it just goes into a lot more detail than you've covered. And yeah, it's much more like you can see things like agricultural policy, what effect that has on agricultural business, resource management, collaborating with your fellow students. Enterprise appraisal and development is again one of these subjects that you work in teams to try and figure out the best use of resources and stuff like that, how to do it in an imaginative, creative way. Fourth year then currently will involve your honours year. So it'll have your honours dissertation, again steps up from that science courses that you've covered. So advanced agronomy, advanced livestock, agricultural precision technology, which is a common thing and is really, really important. Probably going to evolve into one of the key areas as we go forward. So that's roughly some of the subjects for your degree level. Again, you can drop off. You can at third year you can say, well, I've had enough. That's my ordinary level degree, or you can continue on to your fourth year, where it gives you the opportunity to specialize into areas and opportunities you want to do. I think the honours dissertation really does give you that focus. I'm going to ask Gemma just to talk about her honours dissertation and what I get for her when she did it. I think it would be quite a useful insight.
Yeah, so when I did my dissertation a few years back now, but I was based it down at the Crichton Royal Farm here, so using SRUC data, and it looked all about the changes in locomotion score from when a dairy cow's in calf to post calving, and if there was any changes between that and how diet affected as well as genetics affected it as well. But I mean, you can do whatever subject you're interested in when it comes to dissertations, but the best thing about the dissertation is it's something which you take control of and you own, and you get as much out of it as what you put into it. If you kind of sit back and just don't put much effort into it, then you don't really, it becomes a bit of a drag. But if you get stuck into it and kind of grab it with both hands, it's great for something for you to work on and to have to show at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I suppose actually for me that kind of shows or kind of illustrates the importance of how we run this course. So at NC level, there's lots of hand holding. It's continuous assessment. HNC, there's a little bit less hand holding, but you know, you're expected to become more responsible for your own learning. And as you progress on to fourth year, that's exactly where you want to be. You know, it's more about signposting, putting the opportunities for you to speak, see, and interact with guest speakers, and take responsibility for your own career direction and for your own learning. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier on, we also do quite a lot of farm visits and study tours. Depends on the levels you're at, but you know, as we get up to third and fourth year, we'll deliver degrees at Edinburgh and at Aberdeen, and there tends to be quite a lot of collaboration between the three groups of students. The one in the middle there, the Easterbush trials, was where the students were taken up as part of their crop production subject up to the Easterbush arable trials and talked through it with a trials expert. We have also, in terms of study tours, been to Northern Ireland of late. The plan for a study tour this year is to go to the north of England, to Northumberland. And the idea being is to take students away from the sites and methods of farming that are familiar to them and introduce them to a different way of looking at things. So we'll tend to look at methods or farms that are doing things a wee bit differently on those study tours, and also gives you an opportunity to bond with your fellow classmates, because that's part and parcel of your studies as well, is to make friends. And you know, genuinely, I was in Aberdeen when I was a university student, and I'm still in very close contact with all the pals and classmates that I had up there when I was a student. Farming is a small industry. Okay, and then finally, I suppose, or not finally, but just second last slide. There are masses of opportunities in terms of career opportunities, and you can see some of them calling out to you there in terms of that word cloud. You know, you can be production focused, like a farm manager. You could be a nutritionist, an agronomist, farm consultant. You know, it really does depend on where your interest and your motivation lies to allow you to progress. There are a lot of career opportunities out there, and genuinely, we have a very high employment rate from this course. And people evolve in their careers as well and develop into, they might go and work as a farm manager, but end up as a nutritionist or a farm consultant. You know, it allows for that evolution to happen as well. As Gemma had said, she ended up working for Scottish Agronomy on field trials, and now she's a lecturer. You know, so it's one of those areas where we can actually, you can evolve within your career and see progression within. You're not stuck doing the same thing for forever. I'm also just highlighting as well a little bit about our short courses. They tend to run alongside our full-time courses and actually work as enhancements for your modern apprenticeship, for your various full-time courses, delivered sometimes by ourselves. So Andrew is our spraying expert, but also we will tend to bring in folk from industry to teach things like telehandler, ATV operation, sheep shearing where appropriate. AI as well is a one that's been delivered locally as well. So it gives you an extra string to your bow. I suppose it's like your full-time core plus, if you like. Okay, I've rabbited on quite a lot. I'm going to say to you that if you have come along to this and you've heard me talking, I might have answered lots of your questions. And feel free to, if you've got questions, to put them in the text chat. Gemma will read them out. But also, you know, don't be afraid to pick up the phone to us or give us an email. You can see my whole team, or the whole team, are on there in terms of, in terms of they're all quite happy to answer your queries, answer your calls, take you for a quick tour around campus if you needed to. You know, it's part and parcel of what we do, and so feel free to think about that or do that if it suits you best. Because yeah, no two people think the same way. So just please feel free to contact us and ask questions if I haven't answered anything that you wanted tonight. Finally, I'll just go, this is the Barony campus, a pretty cool photograph of it, but I'll let Gemma tell me, is there any questions, Gemma?
Yeah, there's quite a few, and keep posting them in the chat and we can read them out as we go. So there's one, the first one here, we've got, is there any advice you would give for when you're applying to the course? Yeah, so, well, other than all the details it asks you for, the important bit that we're most interested in after qualifications and all that side of things, it's just your sort of person as a whole. So don't think it necessarily has to be agriculture related, everything you're writing or putting in your personal statement. Definitely include all that things like whether you've done milk and work experience or done a couple of lambings, or why you're interested or what your career goals are and that sort of thing. But just your person as a whole, so whether you're a member of a young farmers club or you play a musical instrument or you're involved in a sport, anything and everything, just to give us a picture of you as a whole is great for when applying to the course. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that?
No, I think that's a fairly good summary, Gemma. I think, yeah, a good bit of detail and trying to share a flavour of what you're all about in in your statements is a good thing. Yeah, just, you know, common mistakes that I've come across is just telling me you've been interested in farming all your life, but then not going on to tell me what you've done to achieve that or what you're planning to do to achieve that. Also, in terms of telling me how you could potentially progress other interests. You know, it's good for us to get a flavour of what you're all about before you arrive. Yeah, it gives us a fuller picture of who you are and what you are. And also, I suppose, just the point there, it's not something you potentially might do in your application, but don't be afraid that if you've got, you know, something like dyslexia or something like that, you're given the opportunity to declare those needs, and we're 100% willing to support and work with you. You know, but just again, these things are the types of things that you would tell us before you enter the course, so that we can set things up to help you and give you the opportunity to be the success we know you can be. So, or you know you can be.
Yeah, and don't, just as also a point onto what John briefly mentioned before that point, but we do talk a lot about your experience, and but you don't necessarily need to have came from, say, a family farm or have grew up on a farm. That's something that's very important, is that we're welcoming anyone who is interested in getting involved in agriculture, not necessarily to even work on a farm. It could be you want to be a nutritionist or a consultant or work in research or whatever job you plan to do in agriculture. You don't necessarily have to have came from that family farm as such. I have not came from a family farm. Yes, my parents have a very small holding, but I'm not from a family farm as such. But just you have to have shown us that you've had some form of interest in it. It's not just you woke up one day and thought, oh, today we're doing agriculture. If that's what I fancy doing, like you get out there and maybe gain a bit of experience in some way or another. But definitely don't think, oh, I'm not from a farm, so I can't apply. That's definitely not the case.
Yep, that's.
I've got another question further down. Oh, there's somebody asked if we can get your emails addressed. They were on a slide just before, but also Carol Ann, who's working behind the scenes, says that she'll provide them in a post-event email, so they will be available for you to use. When do I apply for a course in 2024 starting in September? I did actually have a quick search for this when I saw the question pop up, and I'm not too sure when the dates are that you can start applying for 2024. If you want to apply for this year, definitely get your application in now, if it's not already in. 2024, I mean, you could technically apply this year and ask for a deferred place. So as in you're applying now and you're deferring your entry until 2024. But when the applications for 2024 only start, I'm not too sure. You need to keep an eye on UCAS and the SRUC website.
Yeah, so I suppose it depends on the levels you're coming in at. The NC course is through our website, and obviously the HNC is the first year of the degree, whether you're doing HNC or you're coming in at degree level, and that comes in through UCAS, which is normally, I think, January, is it, Gemma, for
yeah, the deadline's in January. It's usually about the teens or 20s of January, somewhere about there. And
if you're interested in modern apprenticeship, the key there is contact us. Usually the modern apprenticeship, well, it requires 3 people to say yes. It's you, the apprentice, it's your potential employer, and it's also us to sign you up onto the course. Yeah, we kind of tend to have a rolling entry for that. You need to be at least 16. You need to have an employer. You need to be 16. But yeah, the easiest thing to say with that is to contact us if that's a route you want to go down as well.
Next question is, I'm due to pick my subjects for choices for S5. What ones am I better to take so I can get into the Barony? So it slightly depends on what your course you're planning to take in terms of whether level wise, whether it's NC or HNC and above. But generally in terms of the subjects to choose, maths, English is always a great baseline for every course. Then your sort of sciences, biology, chemistry, and then geography as well is always a bonus. For NC, you need to have 2 Nat 5s. and core skills at level 4, so it is. And then for HNC, it's Nat 5 English and Maths, and then 2 Cs at higher in either science or geography. So
Yeah.
Geography, sciences, maths and English is the way we would point you in the direction of.
Yep.
Another question. I'm currently doing a work placement on a beef farm on Orkney. Are there any particular experience, knowledge you would really recommend that I try to get whilst up here? Not anything specific, just as much as you possibly can whilst you're there. Would be my piece of advice there.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to chip in?
Yeah, I think it'd be good just to get a flavour of how the business is run and why it's run the way it's run. Most businesses are unique and they've evolved to cope with their climate, their, the business demands and needs, and all that type of thing. So if you can get to think and understand that, that would be a really good way. So things like, why is the lambing when it is? Why is the calving when it is? When does grass start to grow? What even starting to think a little bit about costs of production and how that works, and thinking a little bit about what kind of prices the produce they're getting for their when they sell their products on the beef farm. That's the kind of thing I would be urging you to think about. I mean, you obviously, you're not going to go in with a business plan and say, then tomorrow morning, can you tell me all about this? But when you're having those discussions, that's kind of some of the key decision areas on any business. And once you start to see and hear why they're making the decisions for those things, it really does kind of help understand and put things in context for you. That's the way I would think about it. Obviously, from a technical point of view, and the more skills you get, the better. If you were coming for us to do your HNC, if you've got some skills that you're developing this year, and the farmer you're working for is prepared to give you those extra skills, then when you come to the Barony or wherever to get those skills signed off, it's a lot easier for you. So that's also something you can think about.
And next question, is there any accommodation on campus? Yep, there's accommodation on campus. I think there's about room for 70. I think there's 70 beds, roughly, thereabouts. They are prioritised for NC and HNC students, the younger years, and mainly because those are the ones that are less likely to have a driver's license. As you work up the years, most people end up renting a place in Dumfries town. But just while you're mentioning accommodation, that spurs me on for another. There is a bus that drops students off every day and takes them away. It leaves the sands in the morning. I think it's roughly 8:15, maybe 8:30, 8:15, could be slightly after that. I need to double check. But there's a bus which leaves the White Sands in Dumfries every morning, and it drops right outside the door at Barony. It's the only one that comes into campus on a daily basis. Otherwise, you get dropped at Parkgate and you have to walk. It's not a far walk, but there is a wee bit of a walk. But there's a bus that runs from the White Sands in the morning and drops you right off at the front door, and then picks you up to take you back home to the White Sands at 4:ish.
Yep.
So there is.
Yep, and classes tend to start and finish to allow for that bus, so people can get off the bus and go away. So classes tend to start at 9:15 and will finish about 5:04 type of thing.
Another question, I'm lambing in April. Is there anything you would recommend for me to do beforehand? I'm on Orkney whilst the lambing course is being run. Ask questions from anyone else who's had lambing experience beforehand. Is always a bonus, so it is. And don't go in if you are a novice and you don't know anything about it. Be honest about that from the start, and people are more than willing to help you and point yourself in the right direction. But don't go in there as if you maybe have got experience, or when you haven't, because that's going to be the worst way to go about it. But if you're willing to give it a go, people will be happy.
Yeah, it's a busy time of the year as well, so be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient. Be patient with yourself and be patient with the people you're working for. Things can go wrong at lambing time. Disease issues can raise their ugly head, and or things going wrong in terms of nutrition and things like that. So it's just be patient. I think, yeah, lambing courses. We do run a short course on lambing to kind of prepare our NC students, and a short course for commercially for our for people that want to kind of get their head in what they need to think about and do prior to lambing. But there is nothing that can beat actually doing it. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to learn a hell of a lot of new skills. And yeah, people that do lambing tend to actually love it.
Yeah, something that we cover when you're here as well, as John touched on. Next question down, do you have any open days or can I come and visit? So Caroline is kindly put in, our next on-campus open day is the 6th of June. So in terms of open days, that's it. However, you're more than welcome to contact us and come and meet us if you want to schedule a time that's mutually is fine for us both. And we can speak about courses and do a wee tour as well. That seems to be all the questions for the time being, but if you've got any more, we'll give a couple more minutes. People can type and put them in. Does anyone, anybody else, Andrew, John, Baggy, do you have anything else that you think we should need to
I think it'd be really good to introduce Baggy.
Yeah.
Say hello.
I think it's a good idea as well, John.
Yeah.
Apologies to everybody earlier on. I was having a few technical issues. As I don't know if any of you saw in the chat, I joined the team in September. Previously worked in crop and cereal research, well, for about 15 years, then about 20 years plus doing dairy research at the Crichton Oil Farm, which is 10 minutes from the Barony. And if you decide to come and join us, which I hope you all will do, we regularly go for practical courses there. As I say, joined in September. I wish I'd joined years ago. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The students thoroughly enjoy it. I can basically sell the course. Great balance between practical and classroom-based learning. Cater for everybody's needs. But if you just look around and look at the students' faces, they thoroughly enjoy it. So please give it serious consideration. People are asking if you need any agricultural background. I'm a townie. I left school at 18. I was going to be a civil engineer. I've been with SRUC for 35 years. No background at all in agriculture. Always had a sort of interest in things that were in the field. Loved animals. Looked over the fence at crops and what have you. So don't feel you have to have any agricultural background. All you need is enthusiasm. What knowledge you have, fantastic. We will hopefully add to your knowledge. But I can guarantee if you come to the Barony, you'll thoroughly enjoy your time here.
Cool. Any more questions, Gemma? Or
no, it seems to be quiet. Andrew, you were pointing out before that we should say about start dates of courses. So the welcome week for 2023 starts on the 4th of September. So that's like a general welcome introduction to where things are, what to bring for the start of the term. Covers a whole load of things. There's finance, that gets covered as well. There's lots of different workshops and bits and pieces on that week for welcome week. And then classes are scheduled to start week beginning the 11th of September. So this is for this year.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, or is Andrew or Baggy, have you anything else you'd like to say, or?
I'm just thinking
sorry, is that you, Andrew? On you go, Andrew.
No, I was just thinking, if it takes you 10 minutes to drive to the Crichton, I'm either a very bad driver or there's something about yours I don't know.
I was maybe getting my miles and my minutes confused there. Yes, nearer half an hour, Andrew. I do apologise.
I'm probably nearer 20 minutes myself, but anyway, yeah. I'm no more to add. Everybody's covered it pretty well. Baggy's very correct in what he says about the campus and the kind of atmosphere there. It's a well worth place to come along and study. Okay.
Yeah, and someone was asking earlier, you know, when the next open day is. Oh yes, it's the 6th of June, but our doors are always open. And if you don't get John, you might get Gemma, you might get Baggy, you might get Andrew. There'll always be somebody there to speak to you. Yeah, and I mean, it's in our interest as much in your interest to give you a guided tour. So we'd find an hour and take you around the facilities and explain what we can offer. So please, yeah, I'd say you've got the emails there, you get mobile, well, we've got the number there, but any means of contact, we'll be more than happy to oblige.
There is another question that's just came in. Is geography a required subject or is it optional? And if so, at Nat 5 or higher? So no, it's not necessary that you do have geography to get in. It's just one of the subjects which is most considered. So it's how it's worded is that you need to, if you're for HNC, you need to have 2 hires at C, preferably including a science or geography. So it's geography or science. And then Nat 5 at English and maths. And then for NC, it's just 2 Nat 5s, preferably in related subjects as well. So no, it's not. If you're thinking, oh, wow, I'm at 6th year and I've never done geography, don't worry. Like, no, not a big drama. Geography or science is fine.
Yeah, and I think I would just add to that. A big part of it is, you know, we're looking at the person too and the type of person you are. So, you know, don't get downhearted or anything like that. A big part of what we would like you to do is if you think you're not meeting the criteria or what have you, just give us a ring. We'll have a chat with you. We'll see if we can find a place for you on whatever course. I can't guarantee, obviously, HNC if you're, you know, if you don't have the full qualifications, but we can signpost other areas, other things that could work out for you, or even give you a bit of advice about what might work well at school for you too. We do offer a schools course, actually. It's called the National Progression Award in Rural Skills, which can open up avenues and give you a bit of a taster about what agriculture is all about while you're at school. So that's also an important one to say to you.
There's another question that came in. What is better, maths or application of maths? Now, I have to hold my hands up and say I'm not a subject specialist here. I don't actually know the direct answer to that question. The what are they called? The recruitment team would know if you could contact them. Admissions, that's what I'm trying to say. Does anyone else know the answer to that question?
I would be bluffing if I
it probably would be best actually just if you could send us that question to one of our email addresses here and we could end up finding that question, the answer to your question out with a call would probably be the best option there.
It's not, agriculture is not a science subject as such, but it does encompass quite a lot of science, quite a lot of maths. You know, business is basic maths, you know, calculation of silage quantities, you know, all this type of thing. So, I mean, you know, there is quite a lot. Disease control is all about, you know, science, biology, if you like. So, yeah, sometimes subjects you'll do will give you a really good grounding and entry point into it, but that's not to say that you won't learn while you're here on that subject as well. So, yeah.
Another wee point is just is that classes start 9:15 and they finish at 4. So 9:15 till 4. The only reason for 9:15 is that that's what time the bus gets in from the White Sands. So that was a question anyone was thinking of.
And we'll tend to have a half-hour break in the morning, half-hour break in the afternoon, and an hour off for lunch, roughly.
Yeah.
We've got a really good canteen at Barony, but you know, students tend to head off campus if there's cars available as well at times. But you know, there's good provision for you to, you know, once you come onto the campus to get your 11s if you like, and your lunch if you want it, whatever. It's all there for you on campus.
Can I just fire in one final one, guys, from my end? I'm looking at the screen here with the further information, and you've got John Flannigan, Heather Kerr, all 9 of the people on that list I've benefited from an education with SRUC.
That's
Yeah.
true,
So, yes.
actually.
Yeah, so yes, you'll come and you will enjoy it, but you'll also get a very, very good education, which will stand you in good stead. It might be with SRUC, might be with a feed company, might be with a semen company, but you will get a very good education.
Yeah, good point.
Grand, I think that's all the questions must be in. They've all seem to have stopped.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's all the questions I've got, Gemma.
Grand, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, well, I suppose it's for me to just say thank you everybody for attending tonight, and thanks to my colleagues for being here as well. And we look forward to seeing you at Barony at some point, or hearing from you if you have got any questions that you want to ask us out with this forum. Okay, so all the best and best of luck in your future endeavours.